On Capitol Hill, senators continue to negotiate portions of the president's big, beautiful bill. One of those items is a 10-year moratorium preventing states from regulating artificial intelligence. As AI technology races ahead, there is concern this lack of oversight could be dangerous. Dale Hurd is on this story.
Not only has a bipartisan coalition of 260 state lawmakers urged Congress to remove the 10-year freeze, polling shows a solid majority of Americans also oppose the moratorium, which would cancel current laws and prevent states from enacting new AI laws. Many ask why it's even in the bill that's already passed the House and is now before the Senate. The answer appears to be deep concern that too much regulation will help China win the AI competition. The White House doesn't want states creating regulatory headaches when it's racing China for AI supremacy. This is what one tech CEO said after California AI legislation was vetoed last year.
Regulating at the state level means that we're going to have many different inputs into regulation, and we'll have an uneven playing field for companies trying to innovate in AI. This would have slowed us down. I'd far rather see legislation at the federal or even the international level.
We're in a race with China and other countries on this. If we smother this thing with regulation and stop the innovation, we could do real harm for the national security interests of the country. And that's the thought behind this.
However, Chris McKenzie with Americans for Responsible Innovation, which is leading the opposition to the 10-year moratorium, says it's too long and overly broad.
It would actually strike down laws, not just regulating AI transparency and developer risks, transparency for consumers, children's safety online. New concerns, new risks, new alarm bells can go off on AI within that decade. And state lawmakers, who are often the most responsive, their hands would be tied.
State lawmakers have good reason to fear that an unregulated AI sector would put Americans in danger. Cybersecurity expert Neil O'Farrell.
AI is a different beast. It's not human, but it is capable of outwitting us in ways that we're not quite ready for.
OpenAI's latest ChatGPT model ignored instructions to turn itself off and sabotaged a shutdown mechanism in order to keep running. Another AI model has also shown the ability to deceive and potentially blackmail humans when ordered to shut down. House Energy and Commerce Chair Brett Guthrie said Wednesday that the 10-year ban is not likely to pass in its current form.
We're not suggesting preempting 50 state laws with nothing. We're going to have federal guardrails.
And it faces other hurdles, according to CBN News Capitol Hill correspondent Michelle London.
Well, one potential obstacle is that this provision isn't budget related. And in order for Republicans to pass this mega bill on their own, a special Senate rule requires all provisions be directly tied to the budget. While there is GOP opposition in both houses, including Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene and Senator Josh Hawley, Texas Senator Ted Cruz says he would introduce it in a separate package if it is removed from this current legislation.
Some are also concerned the proposed ban comes after President Trump signed an executive order calling for the federal government to share data across agencies and using a private data analysis firm, raising fears it could lead to greater government surveillance power. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
We continue to learn more about this detail with this budget bill with each passing day. Gordon?
Well, there's a lot in the big, beautiful bill, and from my point of view, a lot of that is not so beautiful. Whether it was the tax provision that nonprofits have to pay a special tax for providing parking for their employees, to this one, and this one should make every American very concerned. Just look at the track record of Congress trying to legislate in the internet age. Here's a fact you may not know. The citizens of China have more data protection than the citizens of America. That is, to me, shocking. Europe has a right to be forgotten, a right for you to say, please eliminate everything about me online. And we've seen, whether it's swatting or targeting of minors, all of these things happening, and everyone warning new parents, never put a picture of your child up on the internet. All of these things have gone unregulated by our Congress. And you can look at the political divide. They can't come to agreement on it. There's still on the books this prohibition about video rental companies that's now being applied to internet. And it just makes no sense. And they're not having the regulatory authority established in order to protect average citizens. When you add AI to that, talk about explosive lack of information that will be on every American. And then if the federal government is creating a centralized database where everything from your military record to your health record, whatever you've used for Medicare, Medicaid, your Social Security record, and then anything in the FBI, all of that in a central database, well, that is a surveillance culture. And AI looking through that database to establish patterns, well, for me, that's a very disturbing future. I don't want to see that future, but I'm not seeing the U.S. government, Congress coming to any kind of deal. At the very least, can we pass the Blade Runner law, which means if AI is being used or AI is appearing, generating videos or pictures, that it needs to be disclosed to people so they know that they're not looking at something that's real. That for me is a basic. But what does it mean to be an individual citizen in a database country where everything you've ever done online is searchable and available and unregulated? That is very concerning to me. That is Orwellian. And we seem to be walking into it without any guardrails and without any legislation. So to have within the bill that the states can't act and a 10-year moratorium on that, it might be better to let the states come to agreement, states where they actually can get along and come up with policies that the federal government can then look at and say, is that something good for the entire nation? That's the federal system that's been in place since the founding of our republic. It needs to stay in place.